Hello, hello. Uh, Thank you for checking me out. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Wanted to come to you with with the question that I've been mulling over for the better part of this Black History Month. Um, and that question is: are we witnessing the dissolution of blackness? And are we as black people losing what it means to be black, or have we, in some cases, already lost it? I've been mulling this over because as things kind of keep evolving on certain issues, and even with certain discourse, it seems to me that there's a theme of black folks discarding their blackness, whether it be discarding their blackness in favor of class, in favor of assimilation into some other social group, or in some cases, maybe not even feeling connected to blackness at all, or feeling any sense of community or society in that way. Um, in some ways, I feel like I'm a little bit of an old head. Um, kind of, kind of like in basketball terms, like I got to see the back end of Mike. I got to see Kobe. I got to see Bron, and a lot of the younger cats that LeBron and maybe a little bit of Kobe is all they got a chance to see. And I feel like I got to see the last vestiges of black society in my little town growing up, in that there were a lot of black merchants and business owners, and there was a uniqueness to the little town of Varnville and Hampton. Um, Even a lot of the elders that my grandfather knew, like a lot of them were subsistence farmers, and they traded amongst themselves um, for a good chunk of stuff, like you know. And then fast forward a little bit to now, where a small business, and especially in certain fields, is almost like a rarity, especially in a small town market, so to speak, like where I came from. So thinking about it and thinking through it, I feel that a lot of what we anchored blackness in as a people, um, maybe could be argued to have been in opposition to white supremacy. And without the without the hard uh, fist of white supremacy um, pushing against everybody, I feel what's happening now is there's been a malaise and a false hope of assimilation for some folks. And let me be clear, for what I'm talking about. If you ask me to put a number on the what I'm talking about, and granted, this is just based off anecdotal observation anyway, I would say this is probably. Sorry, got a phone call. I would say this is probably like maybe 25 to 30% ish, but growing, um, in my humble estimation. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because with that force or that opposition being removed and being replaced with a more subtle, more of an invisible hand, so to speak. I feel that some don't feel that there's any. I'm not gonna say they don't feel that there's any difference, but they feel that the differences between black folks and other folks are, in fact, minuscule. And in some cases, some people I don't think really truly grasp black culture, ironically enough. And when you put those things together to where you have people who want to assimilate into whiteness in particular, they don't see their own culture and the uniqueness of it. It kind of, some things kind of start to make sense in terms of when you hear social rhetoric. Sorry, this hen dog is good. Some things kind of start to make sense when we're talking about certain things. Like, for instance, in 1970, I think it would have been really hard to find somebody to say some of the things that B. Simone said about MLK in 2023. And for those who don't know, B. Simone had the caucasity to come out of her mouth and say Martin Luther King wasn't a great man. That in spite of the things he did, he cheated on his wife. And because he cheated on his wife, that nullified anything that he fought for, all of the things that he accomplished. And it's like, to put it in perspective for people, I think anybody who has a relative who lived through the Jim Crow South, life in the 50s and 60s compared to life today, just ignoring the technological component of it, would be incomprehensible for many folks. A lot of the advancements that we as a people have enjoyed, in part, were due to him and his contemporaries such as Malcolm, Fred, Stokely, and so many others. And just to acknowledge and give all of those brothers credit, because I don't feel that it was one person per se with the magic bullet, but rather it was a collective. And it was a collective that was, for lack of a better term, giving America a fucking headache, and was making them shit they draws a little bit. Having a Black Panther Party, having a student nonviolent committee, shit, even having the nation, and people who just, for lack of a better term, went fucking around. At some point you realize you got to talk to somebody, because if you don't, it's gonna go down, and it might not be good wherever it goes down at. But the reason why I say that was stupid, in terms of those comments that she made, J. Edgar Hoover's FBI is where that information comes from. For those who don't know, J. Edgar Hoover harassed not only Martin, but several other civil rights leaders as well. He sent Martin several letters telling him to off himself. I know it was either Martin or I might be confusing it with another leader, or it might have just been both of them actually. He might have been lazy, just copy pasted his tactics, but it was like we're gonna spread false rumors about you, say that you're gay, say that you're sleeping around on your wife, say that basically like we're gonna smear your character. So when Coretta, Dexter, um, MLK the third, their various children, when nobody corroborates these stories, you know what I'm saying? And we run with the narrative of the white supremacists, the narrative that we say is invalid on so many other counts, but oh, him sleeping with his wife. Yeah, they got him on that one. Like, really? Really? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he was faithful or not in that regard. His wife didn't express anything to the effect that that was true, and she did a whole lot to carry on his legacy after his passing. And to say something like that at face value, like, yo, you're attacking that man and his legacy, but you're also attacking um, his legacy is part of Coretta's legacy because she fought to maintain and uphold that after he died. So it's one of those things where just pure ignorance, for lack of a better term, just ignorant. And I feel that with this, for lack of a better term, illusion of assimilation, um, some folks are losing or don't see the uniqueness in blackness. And as such, they view it as just a skin color. They view it as something that has no or very little relevant social cohesion. And I don't know. I've waffled back and forth on whether maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic with how I'm seeing it, but the other thing of it is too, the Good Brother Media Man did a stream a couple weeks ago as well about the most recent marriage statistics and the children that come out of it. So it was like 47 million was the black population, and it was of that 47 million, like 5 million, a little over 5 million actually, I'm going to say if I'm recalling correctly, were of mixed descent. So that was kind of eye popping to me, but that isn't that surprising to me as well. There are things in the there are things in South America, in particular, like in Brazil, is one where every now and then I tap into this channel and I see this kind of socially what's going on. And interracial dynamics in Brazil is a big pain point for the brothers and sisters down there. And I see similar dynamics in America. And it's one of those things where I think for America in particular, it could be somewhat problematic because the immediate thing that comes into question is, just like I'm talking about, are we losing what it means to be black? Having a mixed descent or ancestry. I think the first thing comes up is like, first question is, and this is in no way aimed directly at those people, but how were they raised? What is their black identity like? Do they even identify with blackness? Or does that mixed ancestry Say, for instance, give them a distorted perception of blackness and where black people are. And when it comes down to important issues, such as, say, for instance, public policy and policy making, how does that affect their advocacy or them legislating or their effect on legislation, all of these things rather, for the larger collective? So that's the angle that I'm thinking of when coming from there. So it, even in terms of how black folks collectively, in terms of power, a lot of times people of mixed descent do attain positions and offices, and they are not the best advocates for the collective, for lack of a better term, FBA or ADOS. Some of the most prominent ones that come to example right off top of the dome is Barack Obama and Kamala Harris. Kamala said pretty much that, yo, of course I'm not going to do something just for black folks, but it's kind of like we're doing a lot for other folks. And just other folks, like migrants, who not even citizens, but that's another video. Barack said similar, although he did attempt to do My Brother's Keeper on his way out. Kamala is Kamala is the daughter of a black Jamaican and an Indian, Southeast Indian, a South Asian Indian, and Barack is the son of a Kenyan and an American white woman. And not only that, Barack's black experience, he's lived in certain places like Chicago and whatnot, but he spent a lot of his childhood, I want to say, in Jakarta, if I'm recalling. It's been years since I read his memoir. But he spent a good chunk of his childhood with his mom and his stepdad in Indonesia. I think it was Jakarta, but I might be mistaken. It's been over a decade since I read that book. I believe it was Dreams of My Father. But, it calls into question how do those experiences shape his inclinations from a policy perspective. And when you couple that with the fact that, as I said just a video ago, these are the patriarchs, with the handcuffs that come with being a black face in a high place in a white society, how much willpower was there? The one thing I cited a while ago in a video was Trump's election exposed them all, because Trump essentially showed it's not we don't got the votes to do this. He was like, hey, I got 51, let's run it. It was like the dude at the park that shows up was like, yo, we running 5s. You only got 4, my G. All right, cool. You, random person, you my 5th. Let's run it. And a competent guy with little understanding of government and nothing but the gumption to do was able to shape policy and government action, much to their liking. While for the last previous 8 years you were told, we don't have enough votes. It's like, you had like 62 votes. You a few votes away from being able to change the goddamn Constitution. Don't tell me that bullshit. You don't got enough votes. Goddamn, you want everybody? You like LeBron? You want the whole goddamn team? What's the excuse when you got the whole team? Sorry, I digress. But yeah, it's back to the point. I think there's a confluence of a lot of different things coming together. If I'm being honest, I do feel that there's an element of uh, disharmony and chaos being sold by government actors, and to some extent, it makes some sense too. Um, just thinking about it, like that's why there's such a fight with the history itself in certain places. Why would I teach you about you properly? Why would I teach you what I did to you in the past? Of course, I want to make slavery it was a 19th century jobs training program. That's what it was. Of course, I want to take out the bigotry and terrorism that your people experience, and there were some bad apples. Of course, you want to play those things down. You want to try to make a more harmonious society. It makes sense on in some levels, although it is very messed up. But that's where we as a people have to pick that ball up, and we have to understand, like, yo, whether it be everybody doing what they can in their own house, whether it be having some type of secondary school that children or people would go to, whether it be during the summer or after school or something like that. But it's up to us to keep our culture alive. My family on my father's side has some Gullah influence and roots, and you know that's something that is on me and my generation to keep alive. If we don't do it, it's on us. But I can't expect the society, which doesn't even want me here, to do those things for me. I feel that we as black folks at a crossroads, and maybe I am being hyperbolic. I'm gonna tag a friend in the video title of this, and see if you have the time to watch this and you've watched it all the way through. I would really like your perspective, whether it be down below in the comments, whether it be a video response, whatever it be. Just simply because I feel like a lot of times, at least when we've talked, I feel we both see big picture very well, but sometimes we come with different pieces of the puzzle. And you and your background, I feel like you might have a little bit different perspective than I do. So if you have the chance to watch and feel so compelled, I would really appreciate it. If not, all cool too. But leave your comments down below. What do you think? Is there an attack on blackness? Is cultural appropriation eroding the uniqueness of black folks? Are we losing what it means to be black in America? Are we losing our sense of self as a collective? Or should I put down the Hennessy? Let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm out.